This is the radio.
Do you want to get saliva on the microphone itself? Mm-hmm. Welcome to Spinal Tap.
Dear girl, I am a doctor.
Please go to 11.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
Did we just become best friends?
Yep! The skeleton ran out of shampoo in the shower.
Joey, have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
It's a house of learned doctors. You're not a doctor.
Well, episode 1, Spinal Tap.
Don't spill your beer.
I can't. I'm gonna
caffeine beverage. Hey, how's it going?
So, this is Spinal Tap with myself, Dr. Zach Mashinsky, and my PIC, partner in chiropractic.
ICP?
No.
Dr. Mitchell Evenson.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes, episode 1.
Oon.
Yeah, of our podcast. And generally speaking, this podcast was just a brainchild of us just having our chit chat back and forth, but being recorded.
Yeah.
So it's
And
about
we should probably
yes.
introduce
Well,
Yes, we
everybody.
should.
This is Richie, the man.
The man.
Last
The
name is
man.
Man.
The man.
Yep, two ends.
The man.
I'm the guy that will cut to when things get stale or need to move along.
We need some
He's gonna
conversation
give us one of
starter.
these here.
Rough it up. Yeah.
So we're chiropractors, obviously. So we're going to be talking about chiropractic health, husbandry, dadagery.
Yep.
Dadagery? Might be a word.
Yeah, we all have children.
They'll have
Stewardship
children.
of the body.
Little puzzle piece.
Stewards of nature as well.
Yeah, big time.
Earth Day's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It is coming up. And we're going to clean our back pond.
Are you at the plan?
Yeah,
We're
we're
gonna
going to go
record
get some
it.
waiters.
Get a pond boy?
I've been throwing garbage out there to make it look like we're really doing a good job.
Finish this can and chuck it out the window.
Here you go, Earth.
Oh, I'm gonna recycle
Thanks
this.
for giving us everything.
Yeah, we're drinking some sparkling yerba mate. It's a clean energy drink. It's pretty good.
I haven't
Whole
had
Foods.
this. It's really good.
Speaking of,
It's very subtle.
yeah, it's good.
0 calories.
So yeah, that's one of our sidebars is to feature something of a beverage, whether it's caffeinated or healthy or barley based.
Barley pops.
Grape base, possibly.
Yeah,
Little barley pop.
yeah.
So yeah, we're just gonna be here chit chatting. Eventually, we're gonna have other guests, local business owners, health related, otherwise, just come in and just hang out with us.
Yeah.
Chat about their gig.
Share our experience as chiropractors. Share our experience as Midwesterners, specifically in the Twin Cities, Eden Prairie area. I think there's a lot of people that we know that we connect our patients to. I like that. That's going to be fun.
It's been great building a team of other professionals because we can focus on what we're really good at, and also at the same time make sure that we're sending our patients to some really good resources. So it's been fun. But anything to add to that?
No, I think I think you should share your chiropractic story.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Chiropractic stories, our origin story per se. Yeah, man, where to start? Probably from the beginning is a good place.
Do you want me to ask questions and you leave
Yes.
there?
Ask me a question.
I kind of already know the answers to this because
Yeah.
we're PICs. But
Yeah, right.
when was your first chiropractic adjustment?
So my first chiropractic adjustment was circa age 11 or 12.
That's young. That's very young, isn't it?
No.
No,
Guess
I mean,
not. You guys adjust youngers.
just babies. You know, both my girls were adjusted a couple hours after they're born. But originally I had a brain injury when I was 8 years old on my 8th birthday.
Nice.
Like my birthday, I was knocked out cold, fell on a pile of rocks, hit my head.
Were you on a swing set of sorts?
No.
What was the...
No.
Yeah.
I was at my aunt. She had just built this outdoor basketball court. It was awesome.
With rocks.
Rocks on the side, right? Off the ledge, there's rocks, of course. But we were playing tennis on it. Ball went down. I went and got it. Slipped on the rocks.
Boom.
Rock to rock.
You got rocked.
I rocked a rock.
That's terrible.
So, long story short, saw ton of professionals, went to Children's, went to all these different hospitals, getting CT scans, everything else.
What was your, like, when you hit your head, you were out, you came to, did they notice, like, your parents were like, oh, this guy's, were you cross-eyed afterwards, or what was
Well, my aunt had to bring me to the hospital.
Oh, God.
Because I was just at her house, you know, and I was out cold.
So your parents weren't there?
They were not there.
Oh, your poor auntie.
I mean, it was the same town, right?
Ugh.
So I just biked over and played. It was awesome.
You
So my
biked after the
No.
impact? Oh.
I biked to my aunt's house.
I biked
It was
myself to the
It's
hospital.
not like my parents drove me to, you know.
Yeah, I
it was
got
just
it.
a small
Sure.
town. So, like I said, had a ton of CT scans, you know, had a brain bruise essentially, kind of in my temporal region, which my dad always jokes like, hey, at least now we have proof that you have a brain, which is good. They were
Thanks,
unsure there
Dad.
for a little
Classic
bit.
joke.
Dead jokes.
Dad joke, yeah. So from that, I started to develop these very intense migraines that would like knock me out of school for like weeks at a time. And, you know, my parents did as best they could to figure out what was going on. So kind of same story of just seeing all these different professionals of why I'm getting these. So kind of classic chiropractic, now being chiropractors, it's classic like last resort. Well, we tried everything else. Let's go
We've
see
gone
the chiropractor.
everywhere.
You know, so chiropractor in my hometown, he was a family friend. So we ended up going seeing him. He did his assessment, did his work, adjusted me a couple times, never dealt with headaches again.
What did you, do you recall, like, how you felt after your first adjustment as a kiddo?
I don't.
Yeah.
I remember what he did. Like, now knowing what I know, like, I remember, like, his technique and his skill set. You know, it was, like, applied kinesiology in a sense. He kind of had a bastardized version similar to, like, what we do now of, like, bits and pieces. But
Is he still practicing?
He still practices. Dr. Brent Schank in Winston, Minnesota.
Let's bring him.
Shout him out. Yeah,
That would
that'd
be
awesome.
super cool.
Yeah, he's great. He's, you know, he was able to mentor me quite a bit. I wish I would have been closer to home to see him more. But he's just a wealth of knowledge and really helped guide the provider that I am today. So that's pretty much my story. Like, headaches gone, you know, didn't know I wanted to be a chiropractor until, you know, halfway through college.
Undergrad.
You know, I went to college thinking I'm going to be a dentist.
Oh,
Followed some dentists.
You missed out. Bad choice.
Yeah. I followed a few dentists around and I'm like, this sucks. I'm like,
Bad breath
so
all
many
the time.
bad teeth, halitosis. Yeah. So long story short, you know, I kind of figured out like I wanted to be in the health realm to some extent.
Yeah.
You know, went to undergrad for kinesiology, which were you a kid major too? Like what was
Exercise science.
Yes.
So that was a weird, like we both.
same
Yeah, it's the same thing, and I
courses.
never understood that because you went to the U, and I went to UMD, which is a sister college or whatever they call it, an affiliate college. So I'm like, why doesn't UMD call it kinesiology?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to finish that story, you know, shadowed a number of physical therapists, chiropractors, OTs, and just kind of fell in love with chiropractic and the scope that we can use to help people, and didn't really know what I was getting into, but
You went right after undergrad.
I went right after undergrad. Yeah. So did a summer at my dad's where he works, Litfin Lumber.
Yeah.
In Winston, Minnesota.
Getting huge.
Did some work, just started building trusses.
Yeah.
You know?
Now you build the trust of the body.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
God damn
yeah,
it,
went
Richie.
through chiropractic school, and as you know, it's a long journey, and
We could talk about that whole thing.
that's for another podcast itself.
Just a
So that's
sidebar.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. What do you want to take notes of that? Like if we
I will.
stimulate our thought processes?
Put it
Okay.
down.
Richie knows
Yep.
that. Well, thank you for sharing that.
So that's what got me interested, obviously.
If I could pivot off of that, and something that I've noticed with Dr. Zach is that you have, with your experience, just like we said, we have a lot of people that come in and it's like, never seen a chiropractor, was referred by my friend, like we're looking for last resort type of thing. And I've noticed with Dr. Zach, like he definitely has a knack with like youngsters of that age. And I think your experience really draws into that,
Sure.
which I appreciate as a clinician, because my experience through chiropractic was more of I dabbled a lot as a kiddo because my mom was more into the chiro side. Like my dad was okay with it. But my mom was like all in. She's like doing the supplements and all that stuff. What do you got? What's your thought?
Separate question about your dad.
Yeah.
Now knowing who he had seen chiropractic, I'll ask a question later on that.
Okay.
But go on.
Okay. So my first memory. So my mom, I have like a few different like first chiro memories, but like, man, the first time I got adjusted by a memorable doctor, this dude was jacked. Like I have like a weird
Like
memory
a muscular jack.
Yeah. He couldn't roll his button-up shirt like past the point in his forearm. I was just like, holy moly, this guy is rolling coal here.
And this is in Wisconsin.
Nope, this is in Minnesota. It was in the Plymouth area, I believe.
Okay.
And it was probably 10 or so.
But he worked out.
I hope so. Definitely, if he wasn't, there's something wrong.
Jeez.
But like my first memory of a chiropractic adjustment wasn't like this, like this is what's it.
Yeah.
He adjusted me and just like a general tune-up type of thing. My mom brought me into the clinic and she's like, oh, you should get adjusted.
Attitude adjustment.
Yep, attitude adjustment. And he adjusted me, and the most memorable part was he jammed my shoulder into the table and I actually started bleeding.
What?
Yeah.
What did it hit?
Did it cut on something?
It caught a rivet in the table.
Oh, Jesus.
And he was like, oh man, that like
Again?
he was yeah, oh not again. But like I knew generally like chiropractors helped you feel better physically, and I never had an injury or really that brought me into a clinic.
Do you feel like you gathered that information, that knowledge from your mom just because she had been seeing one, or did you just kind of figure that out on your own?
It was always like something she had in the background, like, oh, I'm going to go see my doctor, my chiropractor. So like it was a normal event in my family. Like it was not because if it was an injury or something.
But you're
just more
an inquisitive kid. I'm sure you probably asked her somewhere along the line, like, why did you go see that chiropractor?
Yeah, I was more curious about the supplementation side.
Oh, okay.
Like I was always like, yeah, that's garbage.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Like, oh mom, you're spending all this money on supplements.
Selling supplements out of a windowless van.
Yeah, so that was, I kind of had a low, like not a huge experience. I mean, my first like chiropractic is really good. Personally, let me pause. The reason why I'm a chiropractor is because of my dad's experience.
Yes.
Is that what you were alluding to?
Yeah, and when did he first experience our mutual mentor? We don't say names. We don't speak the name. If you're listening, you know who you are.
You'll be featured soon enough.
Yeah.
So how do I back up? Because this is like truly why I'm a chiropractor, because of my dad's experience.
Yeah. Did you have anything to add about your mom? Like,
No, she was always encouraged. Like we ate well, and you know, nutrition was a thing. And,
sure.
You
But
know,
it was just the supplement thing that you're like,
yeah, I was like, this guy's full of garbage. But like now knowing like
sure.
the reality of it, and I think like as we've grown in the industry, like so is the nutrition side of things. So like I have a better trust of
Sure.
supplementation. Blah blah blah. My dad's experience. He was a hard worker, landscaping, like just breaking himself his whole life, just doing physical stuff. So it gradually caught up to him, to a point where like he was like antalgic, like flexed. He couldn't stand up straight. His leg, I think it's left leg, like calf atrophy, like right one's huge, left one's skinnier.
Sure.
So he had obviously some nerve damage, and he would see chiropractors and, you know, it'd help a little bit, but like nothing was really helping. Gaining weight, you know, he was, I think, sorry dad, not throwing him under the bus, but he got big. He was like 280, you know, I think 260 to 280, that range. And I'm 260, you know, so I guess I'm fat.
By those metrics.
But like he was, my dad was like training hard, biking a lot. Like he did the Ragbri, the Iowa ride. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, across Iowa. So like he was a fairly active dude, but before that all happened, he got to a point where he was just not doing well. And he and my sister went to softball tournament thing. I think it was like an award ceremony because she was they won a softball thing, and he drove to this place, and this guy saw that he was like in pain. He's like, "Where do you live?" And he told him in the cities, and so he's like, "Oh, you should see my chiropractor." And so he was referred to the man we shall not name. Can I say his name?
It's Sauron, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Voldemort. He's gonna love
Dr. Sauron.
I think we leave it
Yeah.
anonymous. Like
for now.
he knows who he is. I think
He knows who he is. And
Yeah.
people who know us know who he is,
Yes.
is as well.
He's a big part of who we are as clinicians. So
So he saw Dr. Voldemort, Dr. V. So he saw him, and he was the first clinician who kind of like gave him like, hey, here's what's going on. Let's work on you. Let's get you feeling better. But he got to a point where he was done, like you need surgery. So Dr. V was the guy who like sent him to go get spinal surgery.
Oh, jeez.
Which was, I think, really kind of cool because you think like, oh, chiropractors, they don't believe in that stuff. Well, if you're a good chiropractor, you know when you're done too. That's a good thing about being a good chiropractor. Is like, those signs, you put people where they need to be. So he did that. My dad had the surgery, 3-level spinal discectomy, laminectomy, pretty big surgery. Felt really good. Still continued to see the chiropractor. Ended up doing some weight loss programs with him, and he lost about 80 pounds over a certain period of time. Then 2012 rolls along. I'm in exercise science at UMD, and oh man, this day. Did I tell you this?
no.
You got me.
Oh,
Why?
I love it.
Cut.
No.
I'm like, what is this story?
So, being a big dumb animal. So my dad and I were working on cars. I haven't told you this.
No.
I love it.
Now I feel the cameras.
Yeah. Take as much time as you need, man. This is what it's about. It's beautiful.
So we're working on cars, and long story short, my dad had his heart attack. He's good. He's here.
Yeah.
Just one of those things where you have those moments in your life and it just changes.
Yeah.
I'm drinking my drink here. So through that experience, my dad, he had his heart attack in 2012. And the big thing that happened during that time is that understanding what shouldn't be that big of a deal, but understanding what Dr. V helped my dad with.
Sure.
That's what I want to do
Wow.
with this.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a good one.
This is amazing.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Damn, man.
So, pull the mic. My whole chiropractic journey, I think, was really stimulated by the fact that someone took the time to get my dad in the right situation. That wasn't getting adjusted.
Right.
That was go to surgery, get better, diet, exercise, all that stuff. And so, long story short, he was in the recovery room, and it might have gone down a little different than this, but he was like bitching to the doctor, like, oh, I lost all this weight. What was the point? He's like, if you wouldn't have...
Sure.
Oh, it worked.
Hey.
That was what I needed.
Oh, crazy.
So the doctor said, if you wouldn't have lost the weight, if you wouldn't have done what you did, you probably would have died.
Jeez.
So I didn't tell you that.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that story.
It's
a good
incredible
story.
that you've never told her that. I mean, I can understand too, though. It's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty close
I mean,
story.
the emotional part is just like the memory of it. Like, oh, I drove him to the hospital, all that stuff. He was like literally on the floor talking to the nurse, and he's like, she thinks I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, well,
How old were you?
21.
Okay.
21, 22.
Yeah, we were working on cars in the summer, taking the front end out of our farm truck and working on my sister's car. It was like a hot day.
Jeez.
And so he drove my sister's car to test it. The fuel pump, it broke down. So he walked back in the sun.
Too much.
You know, like it wasn't a huge, it was like 3 vessels clogged up, blah, blah, blah. So he was in the hospital. They gave him nitro, flown to the cities. Like everything worked out.
Yeah.
But it was like that point, like I was thinking about where I wanted to be after school. And I was like, dude, chiro's cool. Like, let's do that. Like, I ended up being a personal trainer for a little bit. And then I was always like, chiro is like where I'd like to be.
Yeah.
So
Your end goal.
yeah, I think it's like that connection with people and just like creating that rapport that I really found to be different than any other medical professional. And I think Dr. V,
It's the face every time you say his name.
I think, and he knows this story too, and so does my dad, but like that was the inspiration. Like, and that's why like we hold him up to a different level.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my,
Man,
It's good. And it
that's amazing.
brings,
I
yeah.
can't follow
I
that.
feel like selfish now. I'm like, oh, I went to chiropractic because of me. He's like,
well, okay.
I went to chiropractic.
I always liked the way
Right.
it felt, you know,
Yeah.
like my low back, like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Well, I'd say, you gave me a compliment, so I gotta give you a compliment.
Can you hear my tummy rumbling right now?
No.
Oh, I can.
You're a little hungry. I'd say that's one thing I really admire about how you practice is when to refer people out,
Oh yeah.
and you don't wait too long.
No.
It's one thing I gotta work on, right? I'm like, I think I could still help them.
Yeah.
You're like, no, let's just co-manage.
Oh, I
And-
love it.
Yeah, you do. And they're always good referrals too. And that's something I admire is Dr. Mitch being a provider. He does very well with. And forever, all the other providers or chiros or whoever that's listening to this, like that's how we work. That's how we roll. It's like, man, we can't figure out all the world's problems, all people's problems, whatever it may be, but we'll triage and send you to the right people.
Jeez.
On that point too, like my experience with my dad having a good like nutrition component through a chiropractor,
Right.
I hate doing that stuff for patients.
Yeah.
Whoever who I'm sending people to, if you're watching, all the people that I send is because of that. Like I am a good technician. Like we can adjust people really well. We have some other things that we do particularly well.
You know what you're good at.
Yeah. And I think more sharing is more caring.
It's like the supplement stuff. Same thing. We know the provider that we send
You know
people
who
to.
you are.
You know who you are. But we like to be good at what we're good at. And it's funner.
Well, it's fun and interesting to hear those stories because, I mean, I've known you guys now for a year. And I came and originally saw Dr. Mitch for some stuff.
Our origin story.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I,
You saw chiropractors before, right?
yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like to back up a little, I've seen everybody under the moon and under the sun, like all forms of body care and certainly chiropractic's traditional and Reiki healers and everything. And for years since high school, and I was a high school athlete and a little bit in college and just
What
lots
did
and
you
lots
play?
of. I ran track and played football all through high school, and weightlifted a lot. And then
What'd you do?
I was about 195.
You were not.
I was.
Oh
I was.
my
I
God.
was packed with muscle and too. I've always found the body very interesting, and I always talk about I wish that I would have had a personal trainer or like a confidant in the chiropractic world that would have steered me in the right direction when I was in my high school years, where I'm like, all right, I'm going to put on all this mass and I'm going to be big for football. And I was a really naturally gifted athlete, but then as I was putting on mass, shit started to happen. Injuries constantly, one after another. And I was like, why? I'm working so hard. I was overworking, not working correctly, not listening to the type of body that I had, trying to figure it all on my own. Right. And that's just, that's coming to you, Dr. Mitch, at the beginning, I could kind of tell right away because I've seen a lot, and I was like, all right, I know if you're full of shit, and I know if you're good at what you do. And one of the defining features that I look for is, you know, your limitation, you know what you're good at. And to Dr. Zach's point, like, you do that really well. You're like, no, we can do this, but then beyond that, we're going to bring some other people in. It's triage it, like you said. So yeah, just a body that's been beat up. I'm almost 40 and lots of...
Really?
He's 40.
Almost, yeah.
I was going to say like 29.
I know. I got the baby face.
So how did you originally find our office and Dr. Mitch?
That's a good question.
He ran me down in a...
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He ran me down in a bathroom.
You were like...
It was a public rest stop.
So people that don't know our practice, we had bought this practice from an existing couple. So we've been here for, 14 months?
12 plus 4 is 16.
Yeah, 16 months. So you were not a patient prior. Okay. So
No.
how'd you find us?
Yeah, well, like Dr. Mitch was saying, do I have to call you Dr. Mitch?
Should
I?
You should call me...
Mitchy Pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man. I could shoot back right now.
Ooh, don't do it. Don't do it. Not on episode 1.
Not episode 1.
Yeah, well, our families went to the same swim school place, and
You know who you are.
Yeah, rhymes with
V.
boss.
Oh, F.
I mean,
And our wives were talking, and I was talking to my wife. I was like, God, I need to see somebody again. I need some tune up. And then she's like, well, I think this lady, Michaela's husband, is a chiropractor. And then I saw this big, strong guy walking out. I was like, he looks like a chiropractor, but that's him. Yeah. So then I shook his hand and I was like, oh, you're going to have to fix my hand now too.
pure dominance.
Yeah, it was.
Just alpha.
This is alpha.
Nice to meet you.
And so then I came in, and
Yeah.
it was like from the very beginning, it was a really comprehensive treatment.
It was it was foot focused,
It's
right?
foot focused. It's foot, hip, and shoulder. Right?
Couple bear claws.
Yeah, a couple bear claws attached to my feet that I needed to get.
So when you first met Dr. Mitch, was it similar to his experience with that doc that had bulging forearms and biceps? Where you just like,
I was
He
I was
is-
intimidated,
ah,
but also felt like I was in good hands. You know, yeah.
like state or
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And that's
fun.
something we talk about,
Or
like being bigger gentlemen. You know, we are gentle
you're gentle.
until we're not.
That we don't need
Right.
to be.
You've never hurt anybody on accident.
True.
Ooh. I'll just
We'll just clip that one out.
just do
You
the
just-
cut screen on that.
No, that is a joke.
So, yeah, I mean, just to wrap it up, I on my end anyway, I think that being a patient, so much of the ownership of your health is very much shared between you and your physician. And I've failed at, thinking that, I'll go to this handful of doctors and they'll fix me. But you go home and you go back to the same patterns, or you don't keep up with your body homework, whatever it might be. And so again, to go back to you guys, it was refreshing to be like, to hear, yes, we can do this, but this is just the beginning, right? Like this is on you. And so when I see my friends that are like, oh, I got this problem and I can't get it fixed, it's like, well, go to somebody that is well versed at what they do and good at what they do, but it's going to be 90% of it, I don't know what the percentage is going to be on you to follow through and continue it.
Yeah, you think about the adjustments, 5-10 minutes out of how long?
24-hour day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that percentage?
Right. Right.
Let's figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, that's good.
Can't believe I haven't told you that story before.
it's a good story, man.
Have
About
I?
Richie?
Dang.
No. Yeah, about Richie in the bathroom.
You mean that one? That one got me choked up. Yeah, beautiful. He's a big guy. He does look like a Cairo. No, that is a good story. No, I've never heard that. I mean, that's powerful.
One of my favorite Cairo experiences, personally, there's this guy. So I grew up in a small Wisconsin, like rural farm. Like there was 1,200 people in our town, and then that was pretty much it for miles. So me and a buddy were planning a elk hunt, a bow hunt in Colorado, just DIY. Careful. So I was shooting my bow a lot, super excited, and I did something to my left. I'm shoot left. So this is where my release is.
We should do a hunting, bow hunting
Yeah.
episode too.
Yes, definitely. just adjusting animals in the woods, killing them.
That was a good break-in sound.
That was
good. Yeah.
So I was shooting a lot, and I was putting in ceiling tile that summer, working with my hands a lot, and I jammed my thumb. And there's this joint here that moves pretty well. What is that joint? Saddle joint, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And it was just killing me. Like I couldn't even pull my bow back. And this was like weeks before the trip, like getting down to it. I was so upset. And my buddy was like, dude, you should get adjusted. Like I know a guy, he is a chiropractor, not officially. So I was like, why? What's up? And he's like, well, I just had some business stuff. So long story short, I don't think he had his license, but he's been in practice for multiple years. So he's like, me and my wife, we go see him. We pay him $30 for a tune-up. And so I'm like, oh, fine. And I like, for some reason, it just worked out. We scheduled something, and I went to his house, and we were sitting in his front yard, and this guy like rolls in like a S10 pickup, just like crap. I'm like, who is this? And he gets out of his car, and he's like, hey boys, heard you need a tune-up.
Jesus
like,
Christ. No, we're good.
yeah, I'm like, but
Did he have a portable table?
he had a whole office. Like he
In
had
his-
like
in
so
his S10.
yeah, no, he had, so it was at his house. We were at his house waiting for him, and he was getting done painting houses because that's what his main gig was.
Sure.
And so walk in, and it's just like the house smelled like cigarettes. I'm like, what am I getting into? And his wife was sitting on the couch watching TV. How's it going?
Ripping heaters.
Yeah, just burning them.
It's great.
And so like he's like, let's go back to the room, and he works on my buddy first. And I was like, oh, like this guy can throw some shade. Like this is gonna be great. And he had like one of those buzzers. He like gave you a massage before.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this will be great. But man, he tuned me up so good. Like I've never been like I have a handful. You're one, Dr. V's another one, a fellow friend of ours, and this guy.
Wow.
Like he adjusted me so well, and he was just like his hands. Like you see a good chiropractor, like like Dr. V, like his hands. You'd never forget. Like I always compare my experience to like those chiropractors. But yeah, he adjusted my thumb and elbow and shoulder, and it like cleared it. I was like, dude, this is great.
Amazing.
And how old were you?
That was 2012.
Oh,
that was
same.
Yeah.
So you had this combination of all these different like chiropractic. 2012 was a big year for you in the realm of chiropractic.
Yep. It was good. I mean, overall, it was a very good year.
Yeah. I mean,
20,
for your
20 out of
career,
12.
20 out of 12. God, that's good. I wish. You think
But
he's
it's
still
just like-
practicing? Should we just go see him?
God, I don't even remember the guy's name, which is unfortunate, but I'll have to ask and see. But he was like, just like the innate skill of some clinicians, like the confidence of some people are just so high, and you just know.
Right.
And you're like, ooh, this is going to be a good adjustment.
Right. I mean, I find that it could be an episode by itself too, but I find it really interesting to be a great chiropractor. You're talking about your hands and your sense of touch and your ability to be confident too, but like there's a lot of chiropractors practicing, right? And we don't need to throw shade, but I've been to a lot that were just like, okay. So like to define or like to niche down to be like, it really is here, right? It's in your fingers. It's what you can feel and sense and touch. You were talking a little bit about like the eyelash touch, how much, how much clout to that is there, I don't know.
Richard, if you're listening, this is you, man. He was a student in my class, and he split, so he didn't graduate with us, but he was a massage therapist. And it was like T1, and he was just chatting with us, and someone brought up like, oh man, I just don't know how I'm going to feel someone's subluxation, like a misalignment in their neck or something. He's like, I got something for you. He's just, do you remember Richard? No. Okay. Older guy. He was a massage therapist for many years, and he wanted to be a chiropractor. And so he like grabs one of his eyelashes or like eyebrow, puts it on the table, and he's like, someone got a sheet of paper? And so he grabs it, puts the paper over the eyelash, and he's like, can you feel that? It's like, yeah, I can. And they like grabbed a stack of paper, and I was like, oh yeah, you can feel that. So like knowing that your body can pick up on those things, and to your point, like what makes, like, how do you get there? I think truly loving this like this technique, like having those experiences like we've had, like knowing and trusting that this can help people is one. But I think clinically getting reps at an early age is good. And then like your confidence in like the tools that you use to assess and figure out what's actually going on, I think is big. So like we both use applied kinesiology. We do diversify. Like we have all these different techniques that we're putting together. And I think as a clinician personally, like having those assessment tools is what sets me apart, or at least that's where I see where I gain that value. And having that experience with good chiropractors working on you is huge.
Well, I mean, some of the best chiropractors that I've experienced are through Motion Palpation Institute. You know, their coursework that we did as students, because you're getting your hands on a lot of people. So you're able to identify like, hey, what's different, but what also, you know, how to identify it from a function standpoint. Otherwise, like you're just making sound. It's not about the pops or cracks, you know? Yes. But, you know, getting your hands on people and being able to know, first off, what's normal. Once you figure out what normal is, it's a lot easier to identify what's not normal.
What's the patient's normal too.
Correct. Which is a good exam. Just say clinically, you know, you got to be spot on, of course.
Well, and as a patient, you don't always associate chiropractic care with intuitive healing as well. Like that, and it 100% is. And I've learned that over my years. Is like, holy shit, this is very much intuition and your sense and where is the patient, and then where do you want to bring him, and like seeing all that as a holistic, intuitive gift, right? And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think the big hill that chiropractors need to climb, especially young ones, is like how to get the confidence out of so many subjective inputs. Like the objective task of like, okay, this was 80 degrees, this was 60, that's fine. Like you can do that, but then just,
what does it mean?
Yeah, like, okay, that's cool. Or like the shoulder feels different than that. Like I think back about my first couple months in practice and I was just, oh man, I was good, but the amount, like just working with other
But looking back at yourself now,
yeah,
would you say you're good? Like if you were to get adjusted by yourself, would you be like,
as a fresh chiro?
Yeah, as a fresh chiro.
I would have had confidence.
Like now, knowing that, knowing your skill level now, if you were to go back, because I know my answer.
Yeah.
Like I think I was very good.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
not as good as you are now.
No. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, there's so many just little nuanced things that you just
pick up along the way.
You just got to get reps.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's a tough part, like industry wise, is like, we got to help our people.
Yeah.
Help our fellow chiros get better. So
anything else?
No, that was our first rough draft.
I like it. It's good. Felt good.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining. Like, we appreciate our 3 people watching.
4,
including
my mom's
us.
gonna watch.
Okay, nice.
We got my mom.
That's
your mom.
3 moms.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Love ya.
My dad's gonna watch that, and he's gonna be like, "Oh man."
No, that's a wrap on the tap.
Yeah,
wrap on the. Wow. Did that just come off the top of your head?
Just came out.
Wow. I love it. Perfect.
It's a wrap on the tap.
It's a wrap
on the tap.
Cool.
It's a house of learned doctors. You're not a doctor.